Cannot believe I'm about to do this video. It's actually not a big deal, I'm just a drama queen. Maarte is what you would call that in Tagalog. What up, home skillets? Shelby here. This will probably be a long ass video. As you can tell from the title of this video, I'm going to talk about my callback experience for NBC's The Voice. You might have heard of that show. Maybe, maybe not, I don't know. Yeah, it's a fantastic show. Before I get into the story, disclaimer.
I'm just talking about what I experienced as a person auditioning for the show. I am not a producer, so by no means do I know exactly what the producers are looking for. Also, this happened more than a year ago, so the process might have changed a little bit, but from what I've seen and what I've heard, the process has remained pretty much the same. If this video helps just one person who was in the same position as I was last year, then goal achieved. If this helps you prepare for the callbacks or gives you insight as to how the process works, then I've done my job.
Let's jump into it. It was May 2016 and I had just finished my junior year of college. I was out searching for jobs with my cousin Nico and I pulled out my phone to check my email. I saw an email from a person with McNulty Casting in her email address and I thought,
that's really weird. They're the people who do the casting for The Voice.
Side note, let me just open a new tab right there. Yeah, okay, there you go, it's open. How did I know that McNulty Casting does the casting for The Voice? Well, because I've auditioned for this show 3 times before this. Once in San Francisco and twice in Los Angeles. I actually attended the open call auditions for both San Francisco and Los Angeles. I got a maybe from the first guy in San Francisco. What happened there was he immediately cut the other 9 people in the group, because you go in groups of 10, and he asked me to stay behind and sing one more song, and then he gave me a short little interview after that. He then told me that if he didn't call by the end of the day about the audition, then I should assume that his answer was no. Spoiler alert, he didn't call. Story of my life. They never called. It's fine. I'm okay. And then I just got straight up no's both times in LA. Woohoo! Okay, close that tab. Back to the callbacks. So the email is from a person whose name I won't state because I respect her privacy. The person who sent the email stated that she was a producer, a talent producer for NBC's The Voice. She asked me if I would be interested in auditioning. I think how she found me was she had seen YouTube videos of me singing that I had posted ages ago. Or maybe she found me some other way. I don't really know. Wow, this is a great video. So I was in the car with my cousin and I was reading this email and naturally I freaked out and almost gave my cousin a heart attack. So I responded to her and basically I told her absolutely, this has been a dream of mine since I saw the first episode of The Voice in 2011. And then she gave me a list of the cities that they would be stopping in and she asked me which one would work best for me. Los Angeles was the closest city to me, but the callback was literally 2 or 3 days after I had received that email and I wanted to prepare. So I told her Minneapolis would work best. Makes sense considering it's like 2,000 miles away from where I live. Or New York City, which makes even more sense because it's all the way on the other side of the country. So then she told me that the callback she was offering me was by appointment only and that I could basically skip the first round of auditions. This was freaking fantastic news considering I had gotten cut during the first round auditions when I auditioned the 3 times before this. Since Virgin America flies to New York City and my mother had points that we could use in order to get there, I decided to do the callbacks in New York City. So she sent me an email saying that my official callback would be on June 23, 2016 at 1:30 p.m. at MSR Studios in New York City. I had about a month to prepare for the callback. She told me to prepare 3 to 4 songs by different artists and at least one of the songs had to be upbeat. She also said that they had to be covers, not originals, and also not a cappella. You had to have an instrumental backing you or an accompanist. The songs I chose, and they're also in order of preference, were Ain't No Other Man by Christina Aguilera, Empire State of Mind by Alicia Keys, Chain of Fools by Aretha Franklin, and Gravity by Sarah Bareilles. I practiced every single day for hours, harder than I've ever practiced ever before. If you're gonna do this, you better fucking prepare, because you do not want to come out of this with any regrets. So because my mother is a goddess, she flew with me on a red-eye flight to New York City, and we got there the morning before my audition. So my audition was on a Thursday. We got there Wednesday morning. Okay. Here comes the day of the callback. So I woke up, and usually I do some sort of physical exercise during the day of a big performance. So I did 2 jumping jacks, just kidding. I did more like 10 minutes of cardio. Then I vocalized, showered, did my hair, did my makeup, and practiced my songs as many times as I could before we had to leave. We left the place we were staying at around 10:30 a.m. to get food. I can't really remember what I did the 3 hours leading up to the callback because, like I said, this happened over a year ago. But I can tell you that we arrived at MSR Studios shortly before 1. Arrive early! You have enough shit to worry about as it is, so make sure you make enough time to do all that so that you can get to the venue early. The security guard at MSR Studios was very nice. Side note, I'm gonna open another tab right there. A lot of people say that New Yorkers are rude, but every single time I've been to New York City, every single person I've met has been so nice. Okay, close that tab. I then went into the elevator, which took me up to the floor where the callbacks were taking place. Let me say this. The people of The Voice are very organized. They have got their shit together. As soon as I got to the floor of the callbacks, there was someone waiting there to check me in. And from that point, there were arrows pointing me up to another floor. So they took me up to another floor. And so there was no confusion as to where I was supposed to be. And on top of that, the people of The Voice are also very nice. They make you feel so warm and so welcome from the second you walk in to the second you walk out. Once I got to the next floor, there was a woman waiting there to take a look at my application, grab my CD, which contained my music, and then I was led to the waiting area. In the waiting area, there were probably about 3 or 4 artists in front of me. Now, this usually differs from person to person, but I usually prefer not to make chit chat when I'm waiting to go into an audition room. That's not me trying to be mean. I get really, really nervous, so talking to other people just makes me more nervous. But this time I actually made conversation with the people I was waiting with. I mean, obviously we were competing against each other, but this time we weren't sizing each other up, we weren't making judgments, at least I wasn't. And usually I notice that that's very common at other auditions. So the guy before me chose to bring an accompanist, a guitarist. And here's another thing about callbacks at this particular studio. I'm not sure how it'll be. It could be different at other studios. I could hear the people auditioning very clearly. So the guy before me went in and I heard his audition, singing Valerie. It was spectacular. He slayed. I was positive he was going to be moving on to the next round. But he finished singing, a few seconds passed, and then he came right out and then just walked right out. At that point, I told myself, whatever happens, happens. So my name was called and I walked into the studio. It was a really nice recording studio with the mic already set up and the lights looking all schnazzalack. So I remember walking into the room and there was a table in the front of the room with 2 young, very friendly, good-looking ladies. One was Asian, so I made eye contact with her and I was like,
Hey, what's up, my Asian sister? You gonna put a homegirl through?
of course I didn't say that. They probably would have thrown me out at that point. Initially, I thought that the producer who contacted me in the first place was going to be there, but she wasn't, and that was okay. I also know that sometimes Michelle McNulty herself shows up at the callbacks, but she wasn't there for me. That's also okay. There was also another nice young lady who was in charge of the music, and I believe there was also a male in there who was doing the camera. I forget. They greeted me, asked me where I was from, and what song I would be singing. I know I keep reiterating the fact that the people of The Voice are so nice, but it was really refreshing because in this industry of entertainment, you come across a lot of people who are a tad superficial and snooty. This was not the case. Even for the open call auditions, this was not the case. The people of The Voice are just nice. Now, because they told me in the email to go with my upbeat song first, I went with Ain't No Other Man by Christina Aguilera. Now, some of you might be thinking that this was a terrible idea because A, Christina Aguilera was one of the original coaches on The Voice, and B, singing a Christina Aguilera song means I have some very big shoes to fill because Christina Aguilera is a goddess. But honestly, this was my go-to song for any performance. I went with my gut, and my gut told me to sing Ain't No Other Man. I felt like that song showcased my voice, it showcased my personality. I will tell you that I almost changed my song last minute to Empire State of Mind by Alicia Keys. I felt very confident about that song as well. But also, I could have dropped some cheeseball's line about being a big dreamer in the big city and about if I could make it here, I can make it anywhere, just like the song says. I don't know, that could have made it worse. We'll never know. There wasn't much more talk, so I just went straight into the song. The woman in charge of the music, as well as the two producers sitting at the table, were getting really into it. Like, really into it. But I did notice from other YouTube videos of people explaining their callback experiences that this was the case for them. The producers also were into their songs, and it didn't work out. I was singing and they were grooving and they were smiling and they were grooving and I was singing and they were grooving. So when I was done, they were clapping and they were smiling and I was smiling as they were clapping and I was waiting. The nice Asian sister smiled at me and said,
Shelby, thank you so much for coming today. We really appreciate it. Your voice was just a little inconsistent, however, so it's going to be a no for today.
But you guys were grooving and you were smiling and you were clapping. It was literally 5, maybe 7 seconds after I had finished performing that she came to her decision. Would I have done anything differently? People are probably thinking, girl, you shouldn't have sung the Xtina song. But honestly, I was confident in the song. It was upbeat like they asked. And people have gone onto the show and sung coaches' songs before and made it through, so I didn't think it was a big deal. There's no use looking back and having regret because I did my absolute best, I gave it my all, and I walked out of there with no regrets, just like I wanted. And rejection in this industry is inevitable, it's just like that, unless you're a lucky bitch, which in that case, fuck you. I'm just kidding. Of course I was bummed, I really did want this opportunity. Who wouldn't want it if you're a singer wanting to break into entertainment? But this wasn't the first rejection I had received. This wasn't even the 10th rejection I had received. So I thanked them for their time, wished the rest of the potential contestants good luck, and said goodbye to the nice security guard and exited MSR Studios. The aftermath! Outside, I saw a group of attractive human beings talking about their callbacks, and so stupidly I asked them,
Did you just get rejected from The Voice too?
Thankfully, they were also good-hearted people and said yes. It turns out that they got the exact same feedback that I got, which was that their voices were inconsistent. I met Maggie, who I still keep in contact with. Shout out to Maggie, check her out on Instagram. I don't know where I'm pointing, but hopefully it's to her Instagram. Even though my skin is pretty thick, I have debated on whether or not I should make this video because talking about rejection is still pretty difficult when you're talking about it to groups of people. I don't know how many people are watching this right now, but talking to a lot of people about rejection is hard. If this helped you prepare for your callback, or if this gave you insight as to how the process of NBC's The Voice works, then give this video a thumbs up right now. It's just one click of a button, and click subscribe while you're at it. And if you think I suck, then Go watch something else that will give your life joy. Don't give me hate. Don't give anyone hate. There's enough fucking hate in the world, and I don't want any of it here on my channel, even though internet hate is inevitable. But I figured I would try. You are all really pretty, and let's spread love and happiness. Ciao for now!